Risk. What do you think about when you hear that word? Enterprise risk management, ERM, includes the methods and processes used by the organizations to manage risk and seize opportunities related to the achievement of their objectives. ERM function represents the institutional arrangements for the management of risk throughout the ministry. Today, we speak to the woman at the helm of the Enterprise Risk Management branch here at the MOFPS to get her thoughts on the importance of risk management. Welcome to the MOFPS Coffee and Conversations, where we talk about the policies with the people who develop them. I am your host, Colleen Cohen. Today, we take several sips of coffee and have a conversation with Tracy Ann Bonner, Director, Enterprise Risk Management. Hi, Tracy Ann.
Hi, Colleen. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Awesome. So before we delve into the meat of the matter, tell us, how long have you been in the business of risk?
Well, I have been in the business of risk for over 10 years. I was first introduced to it in my studies when I was doing ACCA. And then about a couple years after that, the tax administration in Jamaica was going through a reform, and they introduced enterprise risk management on their structure. And we were the trailblazers in developing that and implementing it in tax administration.
Wow, 10 years is a lot of years to be in that business. But you have shared a little bit about risk. Tell us now, what is enterprise risk management?
Well, enterprise risk management essentially is an integrated approach to risk management, whereas the traditional risk management, which we all know about, and before I get into that, let us just talk a little about what risk management is. So risk management essentially is everybody's business. We do it every day. It's intuitive. For example, if there is a morning when we have to leave out to go to work and we're leaving out earlier than usual, we are really identifying and assessing risk before we decide to leave out while it's dark. Wouldn't you say that?
Yes.
So what you'll have is like, okay, what are the possible things that can happen to me? Somebody can pull me up and take away my car. They might take my handbag. And then we say, okay, what are the other things out there that may save me or keep me safe from all these negative possibilities? Because this risk now is an opportunity, because there's an opportunity to get to work, to finish up something that we may not have done the day before. But there is the negative side of risk, where leaving early, we might be unsafe. So we look at the different things. So I have security camera. I'm living in a gated community. So that is mitigating risk. Then I make a decision. Those mitigations are sufficient for me, and then I will leave. What happened there? I have taken advantage of the opportunity of getting in early, and I have managed the negative side of risk. So that is traditional risk management, an intuitive way of managing risk. Enterprise risk management, now, when you take it to the office, when we do traditional risk management, we're in our little pockets managing risk, not knowing next door what is happening and how we can be safe. You understand what I'm saying? So we are locking our doors, each door. In how the ministry is set up, we're locking each door to prevent somebody from coming in. That's not necessary, because we have a robust security system at the lobby, right? So we have managed risk from the entrance of the organization. That is an integrated approach to managing risk. Everybody else is safe because we share that safety risk. So we don't have to be locking up constantly, and every time we have to get up, somebody have to knock on the door, and we have to come in because we don't have access pass just as yet. Right? So that is, in essence, enterprise risk management. What we're doing is looking at the shared risk across the ministry, pulling them all together and managing them in a coordinated and structured manner. And we always talk about management of public finance. We save a lot of money with that.
Yes. So the ministry is already managing risk.
Yes.
But Tracy, in the event of major risk, for example, in 2019 we had COVID-19. Would that be classified as a risk that the ministry managed?
That is an Excellent point. It is a risk that, let me set the context. Risk management is not about eliminating all risk. We can only reduce risk as low as possible. Let COVID-19, in essence, that is not a scenario many of us would have, if many of us would have built on to say, is this a risk? Is this an event that will impact us? Because risk has two components: the likelihood of the event happening and the impact of the event of the event. COVID-19, when history would tell you over 100 years we'll ever have a pandemic, global pandemic. So the likelihood is very minimal.
Right.
So, but though the impact is great, but it takes money to manage risk. So we would not necessarily focus our energies. And when I said we, I'm not just talking about the ministry. Globally,
Right.
we would not focus our energies on managing a pandemic, putting up, because you would imagine that's really costly. You know, having the sanitization stations and all different types of water station all over the compound. So not many of us globally manage risk, would have been putting efforts to manage that risk. Only, I can tell you though, only one that I have read about that had actually insured against it, because risk management, we can also use insurance to manage the risk. I'd insure on it, and they were the only ones that benefited substantially in COVID-19, because they had insured against pandemic, and this was Wimbledon. They had insured against pandemic, so when the pandemic hit and there was no sports, they did not lose a dime.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, they may have made more.
So Tracy, I've heard about the business continuity plan. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so the business continuity plan essentially is our mitigating strategy for business continuity risk. Business continuity risk is a big risk, even coming from from the COVID-19 example, because yes, COVID-19 may have shut us down, but we serve the public. We must find a way to be resilient. We must find a way to deliver the services that they are depending on us for. So essentially, in a nutshell, that's what the business continuity plan about. Building resilience in the ministry in the event of any major disruptive event, so that we can recover as quickly as possible, or even open lines of communications to our clients to say, okay, this has affected us this way, and within the next week, within the next 2 weeks, we'll be able to offer different types of service at different levels. So that's what the business continuity plan does. Put us in a position to not totally be out for any long periods of time, but to be able to be resilient, to recover and offer the services to our clients.
Sir, we found a way to eliminate risk entirely from our projects. Lead crystal, custom engineered. Name a project we're bidding.
McChesney Office Complex.
In February, we'll have a crane accident that shuts us down for 8 days.
Coopersmith.
We've got cost overruns in March from a global spike in steel prices. In April, credit markets freeze up. And we'll have 2 subcontractors going under.
Was this expensive?
A little.
We're gonna be rich. Did we have insurance on that?
Oh, look, it came with a stand.
So Tracy, the enterprise risk management branch, I'm sure that a lot of staff members here at the ministry, they're not really aware of this unit or this arm of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. Can you tell us about the main function of your branch? How many people is in your branch? Tell us a little bit more about your branch.
Okay. So, Enterprise Risk Management Branch is a branch within the Corporate Planning and Administration Division. We are a staff complement of 2 so far. Why? We started small to engender organic growth. Because at the end of the day, enterprise risk management is still in its embryonic stages all over the world. Not just Jamaica, but all over the world. And I'll tell you that Jamaica is one of the trailblazers in enterprise risk management. So our branch essentially is responsible for, it's like the central repository for risk information. So we're responsible to engage, to guide, and pull all the risk information, have an enterprise risk register where the ministry can use to inform their decisions.
Just 2 persons in your branch, Tracy?
Yeah, so
oh
far.
my, that's a small amount. But what is the vision, the ultimate vision for your branch?
Well, the ultimate vision for the branch, and also I think the ultimate vision, even at the ministry level, is to integrate enterprise risk management in strategic management and planning, where we have a common language for risk. We have a risk-aware culture, and risk becomes everybody's business.
Wow. Tracy, what are 3 things you'd like the staff to take away from this conversation?
3 things I'd want the staff to take away from this conversation is that enterprise risk management in the ministry is here to contribute to the ministry's adaptability, agility, and resilience.
I love that you're using the word resilient, and we're getting there together, as you had indicated.
Yes.
All right. I want to ask you 2 final questions, but the all-important question that I want to ask you is, what makes your branch excellent?
Our branch is excellent by virtue of being the first enterprise risk management branch to be implemented in a ministry. So the Ministry of Finance and Public Service is the first ministry to actually embrace and implement enterprise risk management formally. And the second thing, I must say this, the level of support that we get from executive and senior management. Because what you'll find reading any of the risk management standards or any literature about enterprise risk management is that for enterprise risk management to even take traction in an organization, it must have senior management support. And that we have seen from the first 6 months of being in the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service.
And that makes your branch excellent?
That makes our branch excellent.
Awesome. What does service excellence mean to you?
Service excellence means that we have delivered on our mandate. And our mandate is to use evidence-based data to serve the public. So we are constantly evaluating what are the possible events that may impact our services, how we can be resilient in offering our service, and also we can scope and be innovative in offering our service. And we cannot do that if we don't have data.
Wow. Thank you, Tracy, and it was an absolute pleasure sharing with you. You have shared a wealth of information, and I'm sure that the staff, they are more aware about what enterprise risk management is. I know for sure that I've learned a lot today. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome, Colleen. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the MOFPS Coffee and Conversations, where we talk about the policies with the people who develop them. The MOFPS, driven by service excellence. If you haven't checked us out yet or been following us on social media, be sure to do so. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and now TikTok. Search for @MOF Jamaica or the Ministry of Finance Jamaica.